We'll call to order this Board of Commissioners meeting Wednesday, January 14th at 2:09 p.m. We like to start the meeting with a prayer reading or thought. Craig Kusick will give us that, and then Misty Doctory will lead us in the pledge.
Our Father in heaven, we come before thee this day in gratitude for the opportunity that we could come together at this hearing as citizens of this great land. Father, we ask that thy Spirit might be here with us. We pray that we will be mutually understanding and seek opportunities to hear out and understand the opinions and voices of all those in this room and come to good conclusions, Father, and decisions on behalf of all citizens. Father, we're grateful for the many blessings we have, the great county and land and state in which we live, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Craig.
Please repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Misty and Craig. Appreciate that. I wanted to move public comment to the front of the meeting if you two are okay with that. We will hold public comment. If you'll please just let us know your name and keep your comments to 2 minutes. And then just know that the commission doesn't respond. We listen. And so there won't be the back and forth that some people expect.
Thank you. I love the end of the Pledge of Allegiance. Mark Stewart Allen. I am running for House District 59, Wasatch County, Park City, former Utah County State and County Delegate, Wasatch County Delegate. I love with liberty and justice for all, and my comments today will be centered around that, and grammar records and transparency and amending records. I've survived 10 years of lawfare that originated out of this county. I have found the equivalent of a 9 decimal point error and evidence that was withheld by the Leavitt administration. And I have some packets that I'd like to give to the commissioners, if I may. But a short statement. I'm placing this statement on the record as Utah County has failed to amend or correct a known inaccurate county record, despite the clear requirements of Code 63G2603, GRAMMA. The Kennard email was exculpatory and was withheld by David Leavitt and 12 of your prosecutors, resulting in 3 criminal cases, which I've survived and now I've inverted, and the AG's office is running for cover and destroying evidence. What I was subject to was an ex parte temporary injunction, which the judges pass out like cupcakes. Judge Tony Graff has now branded me a vexatious litigant for asking for public records. I've been trespassed from 11 courts, but it started here. The Ben Van Noy document that was published here, I'm trying to get chain of custody, chain of command back to the court. Somebody tried to entrap me and I caught him. And I'm asking for your help to amend the records. The county has an obligation to amend and correct records, or you can leave it as a 9 decimal point error, but this will be forever tethered to that Kennard analysis that said we've got no jurisdiction. Without jurisdiction, I've been prosecuted for 9 years. Second, this one's hard. As a state delegate, I had an opportunity to vote at the Senate District 21. I chose not to. Amelia, I respect what you have done for our county, but I graciously suggest that you resign immediately. Don't take another dime from taxpayers, because if you do, you'll never have a chance for another public office. You'll lose the public trust. You have a chance to rebuild public trust, and I'd encourage you to do that, my friend.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Melissa Pett. I live here in Utah County in Provo. I am urging you to resign. The public has lost your trust. You lied to the delegates. No, you did lie, and you know it. Either that or you were the most inept county clerk there is. So I highly recommend you just save face and resign. We can't trust you. You lied. Good luck.
Okay, anyone else?
Diane Garcia. On Tuesday, December 30th, I had the need to call dispatch concerning my farm property in the county and an ongoing trespassing issue. Since my farm is in the unincorporated county, the Utah County Sheriff's Office always responds. The deputies have always been respectful, responsive, knowledgeable, and shown genuine concern. I have never doubted their training or professionalism until that day, when I was told by the deputy that his supervisor, who is a member of SWAT and who taught Utah County employees active shooter training, that the Sheriff's Department could not help me or complete the investigation because I was a Utah County employee, and that it was a conflict of interest. They turned the case over to the Spanish Fork Police, which I then dealt with for the remainder of the week. Then on Saturday around noon, I was sitting in my front living room when dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of gunfire rang out in front of my house. I hit the floor and made it to my back bedroom. And then I realized my garage was open. I knew I had to make my way to close the garage in case anybody tried to get into my house. I had no idea what was happening. I had not received the shelter-in-place warning that others, blocks and even miles away, had received. My trust and confidence in law enforcement had already been shaken and diminished from the previous days. Am I safe? Will anyone come for me? During the break in the gunfire, I made my way to the front window to look out and to see law enforcement there. Officers positioned on cars as cover and protection. I began making phone calls to find out what was going on. SWAT showed up with their armored vehicles, gunfire and speakers calling out for the suspect to come out. My neighbor of 25 years was in custody. If a deputy and a supervisor SWAT member perceives that responding to a call from a property owner, taxpayer, citizen of Utah County, who is also a county employee, is a conflict of interest, then what is the perception of the Utah County Administrator, also being a Vineyard City Councilman, who is in his position, gets budget information, confidential information, information regarding the contract with Utah County Sheriffs for Vineyard City? There seems to be a lack of communication, lack of policy, and perhaps some hypocrisy. When I read law enforcement on my farm in the county, protection from trespassers and intruders, when I hear gunshots, who will be there to serve and protect me?
Anyone else?
Chris Bramwell, just quick question. Do you allow comment after each item, or public comment needs to be done now on any item?
Public comment will be right here. We don't have any other public hearing.
No, he's here for.
He has an agenda.
Yeah, on an agenda item.
Yes, if
Okay.
there is any questions on it.
Okay, thank you. Just
that
wanted
one.
to know.
Thank you, Chris.
So you'll be able to follow me.
Pass one down to him. Thank you.
My name is Steve Pelon. I own the land down that's on this picture. This first picture that you see outlined in black is a property that I bought back in 2019. The next page, yes, what I want you to see there is the layout of the plat, the green lines. It was 5 long parcels there. The next page is when I annexed to the city. They wanted me to annex to the city. And upon annexation, they wanted me to give them over 2 acres for this county trail system. Being wanting to be a good citizen and a part of the county, I agreed to do that. After they did that, and we platted the 3 lots that I was selling to the very far east, you can see that it turned in to be a dozen or, well, 15, 16 parcels. Exactly why, I don't know why so many parcels below the trail system. At that time, they changed the taxes because you've replatted it, and I got the numbers, and I appealed the numbers. And I says, I don't agree with it. But we went through the appeal, and I came to an agreement with Carrie, and Rich. And and Rich asked if he could do it just all the same price. Me not knowing, I said, I don't care whatever's best for you, but as long as everything below the trail still stays in Greenbelt. Lo and behold, I didn't know that it'd be kicked out of Greenbelt because Diane says if it's underwater, it can't be in Greenbelt. So I have appealed this, and it was denied in November, supposedly. I never talked to anybody. I just filled in some papers. But the next page, I want you to see the values over here on the left. All that land is valued at $1,000 an acre. Mine's at $10,000 to $12,000 an acre. I asked why the difference. They said because mine's commercial, theirs is residential. I said, whatever, it was less than $1,000 for all of them. So I agreed to go along with it to be a good citizen of the county. When I got done, though, we got the appeal all done, but the part that I'm having a problem with is on the green belt. If you look on the page where the blue is, I've got a piece of property that's been underwater that I've never been ever to use. The greenbelt rollback is $9,570. I got another one that's under the water I've never been able to use. Is $7,166, and I've listed those others there. All I'm asking for is for a fair thing. On the back page, you'll see what I feel it should be. The greenbelt should be figured off of the appealed value. Okay, we went to the appeal value. We got the value agreed upon, but they said they didn't have the authority to roll it back. And I don't think when I sent the appeal in that you understand what I'm asking for. I'm okay paying the rollback taxes, but it's got to be based off of the appealed settled value, not the value, because the value you can see was for the commercial value of the land that was up front, and $16,000 of rollback taxes under the water. My friend, the land's not worth that. I feel like they're trying to steal it. I already gave the state 7 acres, you guys 2.5 acres for the trail. All I'm asking for is a fair rollback, please.
Thanks, Steve.
My name is Christopher Forbush. I'm an attorney. I live in Saratoga Springs. I'm also a corporate investigator. When in the course of county events it becomes necessary for the people to question their confidence in an elected leader, it is proper that the people should declare the causes which impel them to the question. Elected leaders should be worthy of public trust. Elected leaders are to behave lawfully, ethically, and prudently in the discharge of their duties of their office. Over the course of the last several years, as commissioner and before, we have found that Commissioner Amelia Powers Gardner has behaved as follows. She knowingly misrepresented her residency status to numerous Republican delegates in order to gain approval to participate in a special election. The delegates, in reliance on her representations, approved her participation. Claims of willful misrepresentation, commonly referred to as voter fraud, were brought. She was investigated. The investigation substantiated the claims and led to a public censure of her by the Republican Party just 2 weeks ago. Number 2, she struck at least one corrupt bargain in the common parlance of politics, where she pledged to help a candidate for a particular county office in exchange for that candidate, when elected, firing a well-represented county employee that Commissioner Gardner disliked, and then bragged to people about her role in the bargain and the resulting termination. Number 3, she gave herself a $51,000 per year salary increase, a 43% raise as a commissioner. This dramatically outpaces salary increases of any regular person in the county. Number 4, she has mastered kingdom building. While giving herself this 43% salary increase, the commission office, through a commission administration department, increased from 6 positions in the commission to a total of 20 positions, either in the commission or directly reporting to the commission. She reasoned that her purpose for the increase in staff is so that things, quote, don't fall through the cracks. Yet important things have fallen through the cracks. Number 5, she was specifically tasked with the responsibility of having Utah County join the Indigent Aggravated Murder Defense Fund, a kind of insurance program for capital cases, like the Charlie Kirk murder case against Tyler Robinson. So member counties do not absorb the full cost of such cases. She untruthfully claimed that the county's application she submitted to the fund was never accepted, and she never had a chance to rectify any of the fund's concerns. The fund's executive director openly contradicted her, saying the fund was simply waiting for her to respond to follow-up questions, which she never provided. She commented to KUTV News that, quote, "Our taxpayers will now foot the bill." Indeed, the county is now on the path of absorbing what will likely be millions of dollars in excess cost of capital cases, because she let it fall through the cracks and then gaslit the fund with the blame. Number 6.
Chris.
Is there anyone that would like to yield their 2 minutes to me to finish this letter?
I would yield the rest of my time because I have more than
How much longer do you need, Chris?
Probably about a minute.
We'll give you one more minute, okay?
She has regularly traveled to Washington, D.C., more than any other commissioner in the history of this office. We note that she has expressed interest to run for Congress. It is hard to run Utah County from Washington, D.C. It likely creates cracks while the clerk, for things to fall through. Lastly, even before being elected to this office, while clerk auditor, a sexual harassment investigation against her was substantiated. She was found to have engaged in violent behavior and sexual remarks toward a former male employee. We, assembled here today and across the county, conclude that these behaviors do not demonstrate the lawful, ethical, and prudent behaviors required of one holding the public's trust. Pursuant to the foregoing, we therefore express our position of no confidence in Commissioner Gardner, in her judgment and her actions, and we immediately call for her unconditional resignation. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we'll start to build our consent agenda. Are there any of the 30 consent agenda items that either of you would like to hold?
Yeah, I have a few. They're rather quick, but I'll just hold them for formality's sake. Consent 8, 12, 13, and 22.
Okay. None for me, any for you, Commissioner?
I'm not on the consent agenda.
Okay. And then regular agenda items 1 through 17.
1, 10, 11, 15.
I have 5 and 17, and on 13 we need to add the names Ron Ekins, Seth Cornaby, and Jarrett Gordon.
I will recuse from that vote as
So we'll pull it
one
off-
of one.
Let's pull it off consent because consent is unanimous.
Okay, yeah.
So we'll pull 13 off of consent.
And the reason is
We'll hold it.
there were 3 applicants, 3 needed. One is my brother, so yeah, I'll recuse myself from the
Yeah,
vote. Let
so
you
we'll
guys
hold
decide.
item number 13 then.
That is for the lakeshore drainage.
I was going to clarify it's a volunteer role.
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm clear.
It's like the calling that nobody wants.
There's,
actually
it's been vacant for some time.
I was actually wondering if you twisted his arm to make him.
I did not. So Mr. Eakins is the one that's
In the past, we've
yeah.
resorted
Seth
to
Cornaby's the
appointing
water
employees.
master. So and Jarrett was just arm wrestled into it. So we're good on 16 and 17.
We'll also need names for 17 on the resolution there.
Yeah,
Just
I
for
held
Chair
17.
and Vice Chair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I held 17, so
Okay.
good there.
All right, I think I heard 1, 5, 10, 11. 13's good with, no, we're holding 13, sorry. So, and then 15 and 17.
13, 15, and 17, yeah.
And then as far as closed session, we'll hold 18, 19, strike 20, and hold 21.
Okay, on consent, we will hold number 8, number 12, number 13, and number 22. On the regular agenda, we'll hold number 1, number 5, number 10, 11, 13, 15, and 17. On closed, we will hold number 18, number 19, we'll strike number 20, and hold number 21.
Thank you, Jolynn. Okay. Item 8 on consent.
Yes, I just wanted to highlight that we got the opportunity to host the Ironman in Utah County. We'll say we stole it from Washington County. It's been in St. George for many years, and we're going to welcome them to Utah County in 2027, 2028, 2029. Orem and Provo have been great partners in bringing them here. They're very excited, and it'll be a great new event for the community. So Ironman for the next 3 years. With that, I will make a motion to approve item number 8.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 And will you be participating?
Yeah, no.
Okay. Just wanted
Maybe I'll, like,
details matter.
Shoot the starting gun or something.
Fair enough.
Cut the ribbon at the end.
Fair enough. I don't blame you. Okay, item 12.
Quick question for Ezra. If you could just give me kind of what the changes are there and any change to the cost.
Yeah, so if you remember the capital improvement budget, we had budgeted $5 million for this project.
This one is Qualtrics.
Oh, sorry.
Consent 12.
Sorry. Yes, there's no cost increases. This just allows us to have access to additional features that we'd normally have to wait for our contract renewal period for. So we're continuing on our existing 3-year term with them.
Perfect. And I will also make a note for negotiation for that renewal in the future. I do not support the cost, so let them know.
We're working on that. Yep.
Let them know it needs to come down if they would like a renewal from me in the future.
Right.
With that, approve item number 12.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 And then Ezra, again, on opioid, I reviewed it as just kind of like a preliminary plan.
Yeah,
Like
so
nothing concrete. This is kind of how we envision those expenses.
yes, so for years outside of this year, this budget was approved in your 2026 budget for the 2026 year.
Yes.
This document outlines the specific uses by department in that sense, which we use for our opioid reporting for the National Settlement Fund. So it's kind of an extra step on something that you guys have already done. I did want to note that I added a clarifying item that the school nurse program that's going through July of this year, I moved that into the health department for the most updated copy rather than one-time costs. So the projections for the health department look a little bit different, but again, this is a preliminary document for any future years.
Okay. So we can make changes, no problem. And the expense will have to come to us. Again, this is just a guide.
That's correct. Everything in the budget, the one-time funds are all unrestricted, so those will have to come to you for release. But moving the nurses allows us to just continue that contract through July.
Great. Thank you. Motion to approve item 13.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 And one more.
Richard?
And Richard, kind of just an overview for 22 to 27 for my own sake. Things are more expensive, of course. We wish they weren't. Walk me through the process on, do these vendors need to re-up their RFP or their vendor qualifications every couple years? How do we manage these?
So on 22 and 23, they're but similar. One's with JB Engineers, one's with Torox. We have 3-year contracts that we have in place with probably 10 or 12 different engineering firms. In that contract, they have the ability once a year to request up to a 3% increase if they request it. That's what both of those are on 22 and 23.
Right.
So that's per the agreement we have. I believe they run through 26. So at the end of 26, we'll be redoing those. 24 through 27, those are aggregate bids. So what we do is we go out and get pricing from the different aggregate sources around the county, so that we have a contract in place with each of those. Because if we're working in Lakeshore or West Mountain, We don't want to have to run to the point of the mountain to get rock. So we try to have it where we've got it in all the different locations, and we can go to what's the most cost effective for where we're working.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. A motion to approve item 22.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And while you're up here, Richard, item 1 is the 25 list and map of eligible corridors.
Yep.
Reservation funds.
Is there a specific question on that?
Yeah, I kind of got the answer, but just for on the record and clarity's sake, we're kind of just accepting, for lack of a better word, MAG's priorities. So
not necessarily priorities, but the RTP, the Regional Transportation Plan, of what the eligible corridors are to be able to use corridor preservation funds.
Okay, so it's encompassing on us to cast a wide net. We should do all potential projects on there.
Yep.
So, okay, I'm not approving. I just want to clarify. I'm not saying I agree with every road on there at the priority's sake. We're just saying these are potential projects. We understand them. It's a cog in the system.
Yeah, and at this point, it's not even these are potential projects. These are the corridors that would be eligible to utilize corridor preservation funds.
Okay, which we have. You missed our MAG meeting. It was.
I've heard about it.
Quite eventful. Skylar was shaking it up. I know you're shocked. I was so thrilled. I finally have the votes to scrap that entire system, and we are redoing it. So I'm very excited about that because it just is not working. And so I'm just thrilled that we're going to make some progress there. So thank you for that. Motion to approve item number 1.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item 5. Let's see here. Greg.
Greg Robbins with the Community Development Department.
So I asked for a hold on this one. We'd received an email from residents from historical land plots. I know that I think there's a couple of them here, but I found it interesting. They had the opinion 90 from the property rights ombudsman. And so I wanted maybe to get a little bit of brief on them. I think, like I said, there's a couple here that if they want to say something, I'd welcome that. But my inclination on this is to adopt the change with a caveat that recognizes the opinion of the property rights ombudsman. I lean towards property rights and individual property rights, and so I would like us to take that into consideration on plots that were legally subdivided at the time when that subdivision occurred.
Sure. So just to clarify a little bit, currently the properties that a couple of property owners that probably are going to participate. One of the property owners, the one that sent the email, that one has an agreement with Utah County currently per some requirements that they have to get in place to be able to develop that property. But they would not be restricted by this ordinance because of that agreement. Other properties up there, while they were legally divided, we're talking about a specific area in the Sundance area. While they may have been legally divided, they were never eligible for a dwelling. So these properties are 0.1 acres. They're less than, like, our minimum acreage in Sundance is 10,000 square feet. So these are even below that, more than half below that.
Question on that, Greg. Sorry
Sure.
to cut you off. Are there any non-conforming parcels with a building under 10,000 square feet currently?
In the county or in this area?
In that area.
There is one. There was a provision in Utah County that was done previously that allowed, so it was built as a fishing cabin or hunting cabin. A provision allowed that to continue that existing use and to be approved as a dwelling. So there, other than that one, there's only one that I'm aware of that has that ability. Other than that, there aren't any other ones that I'm aware of that have that smaller lot size that would be allowed or that is currently existing in that area.
Thank you.
And that provision's been changed, correct? Like you can't.
For existing, yeah. So so that provision still exists. If they had built a hunting cabin or a fishing cabin, and when that was allowed, they would be able to continue that use and also create that use as a single family dwelling or improve that use to a single family dwelling.
Okay.
So while I just want to clarify also that the ordinance change is going to benefit a large number of people in the county. Just to give you a little bit of background, this ordinance change allows, currently we're reviewing parcel configurations back to 1942 to make sure that all subdivisions met state and county requirements at the time that they were divided. This allows our review to go back to 1992 because that was the last major change in state code. That means that there are a lot of divisions that have happened from 42 to 92 that would not be reviewed and be allowed to continue without being considered an illegal division, whether that was created legally or not legally. So we're anticipating this is helping the majority of the property owners out there, and it's very property owner friendly to kind of address some of those issues, mainly because there's many people that buy properties without understanding some of those requirements and come to the county and find out that they don't have the ability to get a permit because somebody previously divided their property. It could have been more than 50 years ago, but they find that out. And so this is helping those people to be able to move forward with the use of their property and to obtain permits. There are going to be some situations addressing kind of what you're talking about, that some of those parcels that are out there that have existed in a legal configuration are still parcels that, per kind of our land use policies and also health and safety issues, we feel are not really in a situation where they're a good situation to have a dwelling, and it kind of increase some of the dangers as far as water quality issues, fire coverage, access, things of that nature. Some of these properties they're going to be properties out there that are going to be in situations that we feel are not in keeping with kind of the policies that we have in place currently. So if you want to kind of have us look at that, we'll be happy to kind of review some of that information. But in that same opinion, it discusses, and for the property rights ombudsman, it talks about meeting zoning regulations and health and safety requirements. And that's kind of what we're feeling is the kind of compromise that we've made in what we've put forward. That's kind of what we're addressing, and that's why we feel where we're at as far as that ability. The one last thing, sorry, the property in that area still has the ability to kind of go through a process to get approved for a dwelling, and that they could go back down to 10,000 square feet, meeting our subdivision requirements, meaning they install roads, water services, and those things that would be, they'd have to be reviewed by health department and things of that nature, so that we can ensure that those health and safety concerns are addressed. So if you have other questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Well, I think that's kind of where I was going with this, is that I don't disagree that we need health and safety requirements to be met. I just want to make sure that there's a clause in our policies and procedures that leans on the side of the property rights of the individual without obviously compromising health and safety of their neighbors, but does so in a way that says, hey, if there's a historical, that would, basically along the same lines of that.
Yeah, and
opinion 90.
Sorry, I think that we've tried to do that, and I recognize that there are going to be situations where that people are going to have properties that that they may feel are developable or safe, or they can meet those requirements. But we obviously are a very unique situation with the county, and some of those concerns as far as countywide exist, and there are many areas that some of those issues may not make sense as far as a health and safety, but we'll definitely kind of look at that and we can kind of address those going forward if you
And
like
to
us to.
piggyback on that, Greg, if someone does disagree with your assessment or development's assessment, do we have a way for them to petition the commission in that scenario?
Not specifically, but the state also in many situations kind of taken some of those things out of our hands as far as like subdivision review processes and things of that nature. The subdivisions no longer are able to go to the or commission or the legislative board to be able to kind of address or review those. So some of those issues are kind of taken out of the county's hands, but as far as addressing those through an amendment to the ordinance or further review of the ordinance, we could definitely
Development agreement, they could petition that way.
I'll let Bryce kind of answer that one.
Bryce Armstrong, Community Development Staff. To Commissioner Beltran's question, we do have an administrative appeal route that would go to our appeal authority. If we make someone comes in and wants to ask if their parcel is eligible, we look at our existing ordinances, make a determination. If they want to appeal that, they do have the right to appeal that to an appeal authority, formerly our Board of Adjustment.
Okay.
While I'm here, I'll just a couple quick comments. I think the issue we're talking about is this idea of a non-conforming parcel of record. That's kind of an unusual provision in our ordinance. Every other use, you come in, you introduce a new use on a property, you need to meet the current requirements of the zone. Those have been established and vetted and gone through the process to determine those are what's best for the current situation. So the idea that someone can come in and build on a substandard parcel is pretty unique. The county has gone down this road before, about 40 years ago, when we really developed our current land use policies. The RA5 zone, which is our most populated zone, did not have allowances for non-conforming lots of records, and so they recognized the need to comply with the current standards. It did provide a transition period of 3 years for people that did have those, that maybe were relying on a previous decision to exercise that. We have included that in this provision to allow those 3 years. We have included a limit of size of 1 acre, because that's the smallest lot size we've ever allowed since 1942. So that's kind of where we line that up. So
I think on that point, with the 3 years, was the 3 years just that they have 3 years to petition, or is it they have 3 years to build?
Build.
Yeah, and so I can see that there's a problem there where if you've bought this and you're saving up for 10 years and we give you 3 years to build and you don't have the ability to build yet. So I tend to want to lean towards extending it a little longer there. Also, we should be looking at like future technologies. Like I know, for example, on a small lot, we're not going to be able to put a septic. That obviously we can't. But as systems get more advanced and there are incinerator systems that don't require a septic, that don't even touch the groundwater, I want us to make sure that, if there's an opportunity, if, for example, if in the next 3 years they can't meet the health requirements, but if 7 years from now a technology comes out that allows them to meet those requirements, I don't want them to not be able to build on the land that they own because they couldn't meet the health requirements within the 3 years, but the technology exists now for them to, So something along those lines is really what I was looking for. Kind of what I would like to do is I would like to continue the item and see if maybe we can make sure that there's some caveat in there that doesn't deem this property basically unusable for the property owners, but puts in reasonable and rational compromises along the lines of that opinion 90.
Would those changes need to go back to your planning commission?
no, I think the county commission has the ability to adjust a recommendation from the planning commission by state code. So that could just come back to you. A couple quick responses.
Yeah.
A person would always have the ability to come in and ask for a zone text amendment in those situations where, like, hey, things have changed and this is good for everywhere countywide. We really looked at countywide this ordinance because we have to, and this is how it's applied. And so, to Greg's point, this is going to open up a far larger amount of potential properties to be built on that can't now than eliminating those that could now and won't be able to. It's vast, the difference there. So we recognize the need to kind of be property owner friendly and facilitate opportunities to build where possible.
Do you have any questions or issues?
I think that's what the gentleman in the back one. This was the issue.
Okay. Was there someone from the? Okay.
I get to hear you talk about zoning instead of privacy.
Well, little do you know, that's why I started this journey that you know me so well for. Actually, it is. Many of you know me. I'm Chris Bramwell, the state's chief privacy officer. I did not have that role until 4 years ago. 5 years ago, I spoke before this commission about what I thought was a records management issue, the authenticity of records and how they tie back to our rights. And so I'm actually going to talk about how what you're doing with land and records are critical to protecting individual rights. The first thing I'd just like to show you, some of these you haven't seen before. They used to be in county records. Most of these have come from the special archives at the U of U. So this first map, I'll let you look at it. This is an example. Today, 2 dates were mentioned. I think it was 1993 to 1942. What about the lots before 1942? December 13th or 15th, 1942 is a very important date. That's the date the county first had any formal county zoning ordinance. What about all parcels that existed before that? What about the parcels that existed and there were no minimum area requirements, minimum width requirements, minimum frontage requirements? So this first map I'm going to show you is specifically, these are lots that are owned by my family. We have the descendant of one of the other original lots here. And many of the names on this go back to some of the original founding families of Utah County. So this plat map, these are for lots that were subdivided and sold and recorded prior to the existence of the county zoning ordinance. Some of them were sold and the deed signed, but not recorded until after the ordinance. There's some complexity here. Back then, you could sell it. It could be a valid deed, but it was not recorded yet. You have to remember also what was happening in December of 1942. You have Pearl Harbor, you have World War II. Many people waited years to record properties.
What area is this in? This is North Fork by Sundance?
Yes, this is North Fork on what's called Old Bridge Road. Now, some of the complexity, I just want to highlight of my experience the last 5 years with a non-conforming parcel of record. Now, I have multiple parcels up there that would be impacted by this. In order for one of the, what I view as my property rights to be recognized by the county, I had to go through mediation to get a zone clearance. Now, as mentioned here, I have an agreement. There are multiple other parcels on that plat map that also have zone clearances. They have been recognized that if they can meet the frontage and other requirements, of course you have to meet health, you have to meet safety. Those are not arbitrary or subjective. Those are objective requirements. It's not about feelings. If you can meet the requirements, if you can have a septic system, if you can have frontage, you can meet them. We also have to recognize in these rural areas, we have special districts for a reason. We pay higher tax fees to have specialized fire trucks that already service these lots. If you look at that map, there are already cottages on that road passing our parcels. There have been multiple lots built with homes after 1942. These parcels were subdivided after 1942. Now, I think this is something we do acknowledge. When you move the date to 1993, you're doing something really interesting. Any parcel that had a cottage built after 1942 that was not appropriately or didn't go through the legal process to be platted and recorded, technically, that's an illegal non-conforming use of the lot. So one, by moving it to 1993, you're providing a path for all of these parcels, especially in Sundance, you're talking about millions of dollars of property, then have a path to ensure they have a legal parcel with homes on it, that they can, whatever that retroactive process is. But there are many that never had approved permits or whatever to build these lots. But here I just want to highlight the complexity of these. Many of these were pre-1942, and those are kind of left out of this current discussion of what happens with these. That's why in the code, when you go back when code came out in 42, 53, 57, 1972, they had this concept of pre-existing records prior to the county ordinance, an acknowledgement that people had rights before that time, and then the county came back and got this authority, which the state gave to them. So for some of my experience the last few years, though, to why is 3 years not even an appropriate timeline? The complexity here, North Fork Service District until 18 months ago did not allow non-contracted parties or parcels to actually get water service. So for me to actually be able to even submit a plan, which we're weeks away from submitting for the plot we have under agreement, I actually had to buy a plot that had a defunct water system on it. I had to create my own water company. I purchased water rights. I had to transfer them up there. I had to create, it's not just a water company, it's a public service water company approved by the State Service Commission for public services. I had to go through DEQ to get this approved. I did all of that. And then the service district says, oh, we'll accept, transfer your water rights to us and we'll let you hook up, which I'm fine for, but it takes years for people to work through this process. To get the electric, to get perk test done, these have passed perk. There's already easements in place to actually get electricity. I already pay higher taxes for special equipment for winter, for summer, to have the land cleared. Health and safety, that's not a real issue for these lots. If they can meet the requirements, they meet the requirements. Also, consider Timp Haven, the majority of lots there are half-acre lots. They're not even an acre. What we're doing at Sundance is much higher density in these areas with condos and their other development plans. So there's significant development happening, and very few are at that 1 acre level. My other concern with the current proposal, it's taken away your authority to decide not to accept a road dedication. Why would you not want to accept a road dedication? And this is why. A lot of people don't know the current location of the Alpine, the Alpine Loop Road is not the original location. All the homes, when you pass Sundance and there's that left-hand turn going up Pine View Canyon, that's the original Alpine Road that had frontage on a public road paid for by the state and paid for by the county. This is documented in state records and in the state archives. So there's serious questions about even the frontage road requirements, because once a public road, it is always the public road. It has never been vacated by the county. May not be listed on the official county roads, but it was a public road at a time, and this is documented. So these are just two other things I want to show you of road configuration, and one of them is the first ever, I don't think you've ever seen this, is the first ever federal survey of the location, showing the location of the road. So this is, again, just why would that have even been there to begin with? You have lots of parcels that are in road locations where the roads aren't there now, but they had frontage at the time. And for us to work through these issues now means either filing lawsuits, condemning property as private owners, then dedicated to the county. So I don't think it's appropriate to take that authority away from the county in these complex scenarios, at least from the commission, to say we may not want to receive that dedication because of the complexity. The last comment I just want to make as this issue is worked through, I do fully agree actually with a lot of what's being proposed, but it's not aligned with the property rights ombud's opinion. That ombud's opinion had a lot of the same facts as not just lists. I know there's at least 42 other parcels in the county similarly situated that were subdivided and sold prior to 1942. That recommendation from the ombuds was to ensure the county. His recommendation was that counties and entities have a ex post facto process where, when similarly situated lots that at the time could have met requirements, but now don't meet the requirements, if they can meet all health and safety requirements, you wouldn't change the area requirements. You could still have road frontage requirements, but they have to meet the health and safety requirements that exist now. But then you would allow them to come forward, and you would create an administrative process for them to, lot by lot, have that approved as a legal subdivision. I fully agree it's not appropriate to have just parcels of record. These should be legal lots that have vested rights into perpetuity. If we don't vest these and we make them legal lots, you never maximize your tax revenue that can come from them. You're going to run into this issue again and again because they're not just regular recorded subdivisions. But currently the process doesn't allow a single lot subdivision. So that would be my recommendation is, I think a lot in the amendment is good, but we determine how do you take the current lots that can meet all health and safety requirements and have had legal zone clearances in the past, like mine shown of significant resources to build it, and acknowledge there's value to these. There may be value in the future that they are buildable. The state last year actually, for similar lots, authorized membrane bioreactors, which is the next cutting edge thing beyond septic systems that you could do in areas just like this. But essentially, don't take away this ability for them to ever get value. There's many property owners out there that are not me. Most people are not going to spend this process and do what I did. But there are many frustrated people that have not been able to work through the process to essentially get the full value out of their property rights.
Has the property rights ombuds office come up with model language?
The only city that has done anything similar to that language is Vineyard, and that's because I was the chair on the Vineyard Planning Commission. That was part of my experience of how do I learn to work through it. I became a chair of a planning commission. I would there is language, I think, that could be worked through. It's not a very complex topic, but it would require, I think it should be on the citizens to bring forward what were the requirements of the time to prove what it is. But if they can meet health and safety, allow them to recognize those rights. But I do think it's unfair. You have lots of people. There's other things at play of not just building, but water. And I will mention too, in this area, Provo Bench Canal Water Company is being dissolved. So other than me, who spent years getting these rights and working through it, most people don't even have an avenue until that's resolved at the Provo River Water Association to get water rights to transfer up. So you're going to have slews of people that are in a scenario that even for 3 years, they may not be able to get water to build. So
I don't know if you have any model language for us, but I'm willing to continue this item to see if we can get some language that would just kind of preserve those property rights for people that can prove blah, 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 or that can meet these standards. What type of a timeline do you think it would take to get something to our folks that they could evaluate for us?
So
considering that you're not super busy in your day
we're
job.
starting legislative session. So there was model legislation. Obviously I drafted it 5 years ago, and I can't bring that forward as part of my agreement with the county, as I was not allowed to bring it. But I would like to display it, and what I think you can do is you could meld it into this legislation. And one, it would push back on the state. Obviously, they wanted to take away some local zoning, but show you can maximize property rights. And I think we could work with community development with some tweaks to actually have a model that represents the ombudsperson recommendation, balances rights.
That'd be kind of my goal.
Yeah.
That would be my
I
goal.
don't know that we're that far off though. What
No.
staff has given us
It's really good.
because I'm not just looking at this area.
Mhm.
That's all we've discussed, right?
Yeah, you've solved
Where
a big
my
problem.
mind is also thinking of Lakeshore and Benjamin and all other
Yeah,
areas of
you-
Utah
No, I
County.
think what they brought us
We
is
have to-
almost.
Yeah, because you have Vivian Park and you have
Right.
Jolly. There's many subdivisions that are situated. So you're stopping hundreds of people that would be upset if you didn't recognize it.
Yeah. No,
So
I
you're
think what
locking
they've
those
done is
in,
like.
and I would say
90%
let's
there.
just make sure we account for these other parcels to give them more recognized value, and especially those pre-existing even before any county ordinance. But I think with some slight tweaks, we could probably in the next 2 weeks have something that at least for these Sundance property owners, the dozens of us, we would be comfortable with.
Okay. Maybe stay close, Chris. We might have more questions for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Bryce, did you have something you were going to say? I was also going to ask if there's anybody else here for this item that wanted to address the commission.
Just a couple quick comments. 2 weeks is fine. There's a difference between parcel configuration and subdivisions and zoning requirements, and so we need to differentiate between the two.
Yeah, absolutely.
All communities decide what the minimum lot size of their parcels are going to be in their community, even those that pre-existed their incorporation, and so that's not uncommon.
While you're up there, the road address, maybe
there's some
concern,
some misinformation. There's nothing in this is taking away the county's ability to accept a dedication.
That's what I was reading. Okay, I want to make sure I didn't read that incorrectly.
Okay.
So, okay, thank you. And then, did anybody else want to address the commission that was here by chance? I want to make sure everybody that was here got a chance to. you'll just tell us your name, rank, and serial number.
Can't remember all of that.
Okay,
and,
we'll just take a name.
My name is Janice Reeb,
Janice.
and I lived for 20 years at 143 Hobble Creek Canyon Road in the county. They have recently changed my address, however. It's now 12375 South Left Fork, Hobble Creek Canyon Road. Put that on an address. The reason I came is because I worked some years ago with a person and a family who had a dedicated zoning lot that was not recognized by the county. And I have today brought the original deed for that. These amendments, I would like to congratulate the zoning department on putting those together because it opens the door for issues that were of such concern to those people who thought they might not be able to continue to live in homes that had been in place since 1934 and 1935. I'm not familiar with ombudsperson or that issue. All I have done is read the drafts that are in place for this, and I want to congratulate the Community Development Department. If there are tweaks that need to be made, I'm certainly in a place that I wanted to look at that. However, I think they've done great work, and I'm very appreciative of their efforts. Greg Robinson's and, let me think, Brian Harris. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice.
Thank you, Janice.
You just nominated them for Employee of the Month. They don't know. No, he's saying no humbly.
I'm Craig Cusick. My comments will be quick. Chris Bramwell did a great job echoing, I think, my similar sentiments. I mainly just want to say I'm also an owner of multiple properties in the same area in Sundance. I echo Chris's comments and appreciate the willingness to try to work through this together where we can accommodate both the needs, the rights that we have of ownership of property that predates 1942. I've invested a lot of money up there, and we are looking forward to working through this together. So thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Did I miss anybody? Feel okay there? 2 weeks, do you have any comments or concerns?
No, that's great.
Is that our next meeting?
And our next one's on the 28th, so that would be 2 weeks.
2 weeks,
if
that's what I thought. I will make a motion to continue this item for 2 weeks.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to continue to our January 28th meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you, everyone. Appreciate your comments and help on that one. Item 10, Skylar.
Yeah, that's me. Just to highlight a nonprofit called Access Utah partnered with Uinta County last year to build Utah's first Via Ferrata, and I've never known what Via Ferrata was. And it's like rock climbing for beginners, for anybody. And they built it just outside Vernal from outdoor rec grant from the state, and it's been very successful. They had 3,000 people participate in it last year. And they approached me and said, would we have any interest in looking at it for Utah County? And so this is us just saying, yeah, we love to hear all kinds of new recreational opportunities, both for economics and for recreation. So looking forward to seeing if anything comes out of that. And with that, a motion to approve item number 10.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and 11.
Ezra, you want to tee us up, or you want me to just jump in?
Yeah, no, this is a result of our policy review committee. So we've started a new committee at the county, just internal with staff, to actively review policies in need of of changes. So we go through our existing codes, and rather than just addressing policy issues as the issues come up, we're proactively reviewing our policies and finding best practices and recommendations. And we have 3 of those policies that all kind of intertwine to present to you, related to food and gifts, tipping, travel and mileage. So there's a few versions on the agenda system. So essentially what we have is the clean version, which is the staff recommendation. We circulated those copies individually to each of you, and then took your individual comments and incorporated those in the versions that are listed clean commission edits. So you guys have an opportunity to go through and review those. And I think that would probably be the easiest way to go through each of these policies, is just to look at each of your individual comments and see which ones you guys want to agree on or have more discussion on.
I had a question. How did you come up with the best practices? Just wondering on the recommendations where they came from.
Yeah, a lot is looking at other entities, using different AI tools, but we have about 8 or 9 people that all meet together, from purchasing, from different departments, and review with each of our staff experience as well. Some recommendations are also from different audits that we've had as well, internal audits. So we've
So improving the
incorporate those as
processes
well.
based off of the feedback.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I greatly appreciate this. You know, it was a big concern of mine that I have worked on for months. I think both of my fellow commissioners have heard it from me, and Ezra's heard it 10 more times. And it was like 10 years since the last update. Ride sharing wasn't even a thing, and so I was glad we needed to add some ride sharing. We never had any tip policy. We now have added a tip policy. And so those were important things for me. 2 also additions, per diem opt-out form. So unfortunately, some people have used per diem as a perk, and it's not a perk. If you're on company business, we will pay for you to eat. But if a meal is provided, you need to use that meal, and if not, and then fair explanation is sufficient, but we need to hear about it. So that's a new addition, that a per diem, if you are not eating the conference meal, you need to explain why. And I think that will help us clean up some of that perk usage. Question for the 2 of you on that. An issue that I have seen is per diem requests in advance. How do you anticipate or see that? So if I don't do it, but there's departments that will go on a week's conference, they get $300 or whatever in per diem, and the conference has all lunches. They eat the lunch.
Hotel has breakfast.
We don't have a way, like, how do we recoup that? So how do you? That's one thing that we're lacking, and I kind of wanted to bring to the group.
The conference should spell that out before, right? Like if I'm looking at the agenda for the conference, it should tell me. And if I know if I'm staying. So if you're going to put in for it, because I understand how people want to put in for it ahead of time, but you should know, like, that I'm going to eat breakfast at the hotel because it's provided. And if you don't, it's provided, so you don't get that. Am I heading in the right direction, or am I thinking wrong?
No, I think for the most part, the question I have is I would want to mirror this with our processes internally, right? Because I think right now, for example, a department that does this ahead of time, if you've got an employee that doesn't have access to COFIS and the travel system because that's not part of their job description, but they're going on a training, then somebody else in the department does that, and then that person never follows up with them. And so I don't want to attribute malice when it was literally just a process issue.
Right.
So I think whatever we decide, we just need to make sure when we implement the ERP that the process is aligning with it so that it isn't creating a ton of onerous work. Because I agree, but at the same time, if it took 5 man-hours between 2 employees to pay back the $30, we've just lost $150.
Sure.
So
I mean, there's
sure that
still
our
the
process
battle
is
between the principal.
right.
Like we need to be.
Make sure our process aligns.
Yeah, and I've had too many issues that I have found that's very discouraging to me, and make this known to all county employees. This is going to be enforced and much better moving forward. I have found way too many egregious errors, and so we have been willy-nilly, and I have critiqued that as an administrative department to Ezra. We were not following Our current policy right now is 2 county commissioners must approve any person's travel in this whole county. We don't do that, and that's very excessive, and we're gonna fix it to 5 days or $4,000. I think that's totally reasonable, and we should trust our department heads, but we have to follow the policy, and that's why that's why I'm glad we're fixing this, because it is not going to be anymore. We just haven't done that for 5 years, so we're not gonna do it this is why we're addressing it. The second form we're adding is a personal travel extension. So if you go somewhere and you want to tack on days, I think that's fine and great. We just need explanation on the finances of how that's being broken up. And you know, I've evolved in my 1 year here. This county travel is not luxurious. I know people think it is, and many of you do go on trips for the county. You don't get your own bed. You're missing from your family. It's just not luxurious. Like you just are doing business. You're working, and half the time I'm gone. I'm like, I'd rather be home. And so when someone wants to tack on a trip, there's conferences to wherever. That's great. I think that's great. We just need better process, to Commissioner Gardner's point, of how that is being finalized in the system.
Vic, that reminds me, I was going to ask, did the policy recommendation committee work with the auditor's office on process? So you guys, this integrates well? Okay. Perfect. Okay. Just want to make sure.
We did it all the time at the city, by the way. Like, you want to stay 2 more nights in St. George over a Friday? Like, pay it back. It was easy, right?
Yeah.
We can easily do that here too, right?
Yeah, and we just need, so this form will be better. How much is owed? When it got done? Who's approving it? We just need better than, yeah, well, I took care of it. Well, we need to make sure it got taken care of. So those are 2 new forms. A couple things we needed to fix. I had one more question for you both on
Gratuity?
No, gratuity got fixed. Over 20% requires a justification.
But I think you and I had a conversation. If let's say we have 30 pizzas brought in on election night for our clerk's office, what's appropriate? 20% on,
Yeah.
where when I was a pizza delivery guy 25 years ago, $10 was perfect. Thanks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So did we fix that, or?
No, there's just no way to micromanage that, nor would we want to. I mean, we could set it must be dollar amount, but I mean, you'd hope that people are stewards and fiduciaries of public taxpayer money.
And it's their budget too.
But yeah, I mean, when I go through this, I wish I could control way more than we can. We just can't. We have to have some autonomy that you're going to make the right choice and do the right thing. As a principal basis, you shouldn't stay at a hotel that you wouldn't stay in on your own dollar, is my opinion. You shouldn't take a flight that you wouldn't have taken on your own dollar. But many people are not going to have that personal opinion, and that's fine. But one other thing that I wanted to run by you is like a working lunch or catered, like your example of the clerks for pizza. I'm very supportive of that, by the way. But we have it in this new policy, the dinner rate. And I wonder if it should be the reflective per diem rate. So if you're feeding breakfast, should it be the breakfast rate per person? If you're doing lunch, should it be the lunch rate per person? Or are you fine with any meal at the dinner rate for working lunch?
I mean, getting into that level of nuance is, I mean, I would almost look at best practice at that point, right? I would look and see what are other governmental agencies doing.
And I did. I compared lots. I spent a lot of time on it, and I'd say most are the rate that you're actually the meal you're eating, and that's what I kind of wondered. I'm okay either one, but I just wanted your opinion. Or Ezra, how did that number come about?
Yeah, we mirror the volunteer rate that we have in there for that one. So either one honestly works. We just thought this would be a more infrequent occasion rather than regular meeting meals.
And I do think you pointed it out really well. I mean, day one for me, I was handed a list of, it was an audit of how many pieces of pizza our first responders ate during the fires.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Ridiculous, right? And they're like, what do you want me to do with this? And I was like, wait, that deputy had 3 slices and that one only had 1? How dare he or she, right? Like, I don't want to get to that level. We were elected to, be good stewards of the money, to your point, and we should be.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the balance. I think we've struck it pretty well. Like I said, I would love to control a lot of this because there's opportunity for savings. And I think it is a task I want to tackle later, actual travel budgets department wide, because as Commissioner Gardner said, they have their own budget. And I feel if they want to spend it all on one catered meal, go for it. Do they have more than they need for the year? I think there is opportunity for that, but that's not what we're dealing with today. So yeah, that was my one thing I wanted. If you wanted to leave at dinner or the respective meal, and then just for clarity's sake, we need to add on approving authority. We accidentally removed, and someone caught it in the auditor's department. A county attorney travel needs to be approved by the commission. So the county attorney approves all other elected official travel, but there's nobody that approves theirs, and it just fell out, and I saw that note, so we just need to add that in. Other than that, I
would
don't have
look forward to just probably leaving it at the dinner rate so that we have one rate. I think it's less complicated, and I don't think it's a big enough. Like whatever we can do to make this as streamlined as possible, to make it as efficient as possible, to save as much money as possible.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm okay. And then nothing on mileage. I appreciate Commissioner Gardner's change to quarterly filing because I was not going to do monthly filing.
It just adds more work. It just makes things less efficient.
But yeah, I think it's a good product, and it could always be edited, of course, if we find. But I just want to make it very clear, and also have the commitment from my other 2 commissioners that this is going to be followed, and taken advantage of, or the way it's been done is just not going to work moving forward. Is there anything else to add?
No, I think you guys covered all the comments. If you're comfortable with the clean commission edits, we will do that with the noted change on the approving authority for county attorney travel.
Yeah, that was the only clerical thing I saw miss. Is that you agree with that, Ezra?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You good with that motion, Skyler?
Yeah, motion to approve item number 11 with the change of county attorney travel will be approved by the commission.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Appreciate your work on that one. Item 13, we have the names. Ron Eakin, Seth Hornaby, and Jarrett Gordon. I will recuse myself from the vote.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I will abstain. Okay. And then item 15, Jeremy Walker.
That was me. And Jeremy, if you just kind of give a really quick synopsis of what we're doing, and then also reconfirm to me it's no budgetary increase.
You bet. Can I get a 2 minutes on the clock?
Yeah.
I'll promise to stop at 2 minutes.
As you deal with Rod every day, 2 minutes probably tough. So.
Ouch. Ow. Oh, so the agreement is a change order to our implementation services with IBM, and we've engaged with them for about a year now. And we've worked through some issues and have asked them to propose a new go live date. So that's an extension of about 8 months from our initial. So it's a substantial change, and it's a substantial amount. It's about $1 million for the change order. And that is a recommendation to approve that based on everything we've learned. That is how we're going to get there without needing to start the process over again, which we could do, but please no.
So help me with saying whose fault it is the wrong approach, because it's way more nuanced than that. But help me understand where's the drop, where's the issue. is it a mix? Did one of these vendors or partners lose an employee? Are we had too lofty of a goal? Like, walk me through that.
So most of it was in the memo. So I'll try to be brief. That as we got about halfway through the year, we were getting behind on the gap between what IBM was asking us to do on a timetable and what we could do with the hours that we had, even working significant overtime. They just weren't matching up. So toward the end of the summer, we asked them for a pause. We recalibrated. We had extreme burnout. They had replaced the project manager. There was discussion about doing it again. So there were communication and expectation issues that we feel much better. They got AST, who we contracted with, was bought out by IBM. So there's been a management change on their side. So we were definitely considering them not being the partner that we needed, but we've been able to mend that relationship. And I probably said more than I should in a public meeting, but since you asked, there were expectation and communication gaps primarily, and had we done better on both sides, them and us, earlier, I think we could have avoided this, but that's where we landed.
Well, I think it's important to mention that the vast majority of the work on our end is being done by employees who have other responsibilities, and I think that was kind of, when we're expecting one of our employees to spend 20 hours a week working on this project, but they have 40 hours a week worth of work to do. You just get to the point where some of them just say, I can't do everything.
And either for Ezra or Jeremy, what was the approved CIP expense for this total project?
So $5 million when we originally were looking at it, and Jeremy probably won't say this, but I do think we had an aggressive goal for implementation on this, and we really did consider that going into it, that this timeline was definitely aggressive by any other organization standards. If you want to look at how long the state has taken for their ERP implementation, it's we're talking in the term of 5 years. So we wanted to be aggressive to make sure we were keeping our eye on the ball and that this wouldn't be a project that would last years and years. So 8 months, I think, is pretty good for where we're at right now.
So this is not $1 million over the $5 million CIP approval.
That's correct. It's the contract change. So the original contract was $3 million between the two phases, and this
we've given more money before as well. After that one, they came for more money late last year.
Yeah, our total spend has not exceeded that $5 million. So we're roughly $2 million on our total spend right now.
So last year, and the change to the CIP budget of $750,000 was an anticipation of this change order. So that without that, we would have had to ask for additional money, but that has kept the current CIP budget can tolerate this change order.
Okay.
Let me just add, and you can put a clock on me if you want, but this was my role.
Don't be offended.
I am not offended at all. I was laughing like everybody else because it's just true. It's absolutely, there's no, it's factually true. So it's a fact, it's not a factual error. Anyway, this was my role for 30 years. In these big ERP or IT projects, it's not unusual for them to exceed 2 or 3 times their initial budgets. It's just not unusual. And it's because
want to hear how?
No, I'm not. Yeah,
it's not helping. So the fact that our ask is so much smaller than that is kudos to the team. Now, we did set an aggressive budget because we did what I thought was an extraordinary amount of prep work ahead of time, more than most people do. But even then, we're well within the norms and on the positive side of the norms of how these things go. And kudos to the team for recognizing there was a problem. And to Mia's point, yeah, we did push people to work a lot harder than is possible on a long-term basis. So we needed this.
Yeah, and I'm going to underscore what Rod said. This in my career, this will be the 8th ERP that I've been a part of. I was a part of 7 others in my previous career, working with organizations, the smallest being probably a $100 million organization, the largest being a $2.5 billion organization. We fall right in the middle of that. This is the 8th, and while this hasn't been totally perfect, I would underscore what Rod said. This is actually on the good side. Just in fact, I was working with the team as they were getting ready to decide that we needed to push off implementation and they were kind of feeling down. And so I decided to go to my trusty chat GPT and I typed in define success in an ERP implementation for $1 billion company. Keep in mind the absolute cluster that is an ERP implementation. That was the entire prompt I gave ChatGPT. And this is how it defined success. It said success in an ERP implementation for $1 billion organization isn't perfect. It's controlled chaos that ends with measurable business improvement rather than operational implosion. In other words, an ERP implementation is successful when 1, the business can still function during and after go live. 2, key business processes are measurably improved, not just migrated. 3, but it gives it 6 to 12 months for that to occur. Data integrity and trust exists. Other adoption exceeds resistance. User adoption exceeds resistance. It says if you don't need universal love. You need to function in compliance. If 80% of the users use the system as designed and the other 20% aren't actively sabotaging it, you're winning. Change fatigue is managed, not ignored. $1 billion company runs on people. If you reach go live without mass burnout, mass resignations, or a shadow system revolt, you have a victory. It says number 6, the system stabilizes within 6 months. You have fires, but success means that those fires get smaller and less frequent, not larger and existential. Number 7, the leadership team still speaks to each other at the end. If the CFO, the COO, and the CIO and the business unit leaders are still collaborating instead of litigating, you have a success. And then number 8, there's a measurable ROI within 18 to 24 months. Cost savings, better forecasting, reduced manual work, or improved compliance. Something tangible must emerge. So it's in plain English, a successful ERP implementation isn't on time and on budget. That's a fantasy. It's when your $1 billion company survives the transformation, runs better than before, and your people eventually admit, although grudgingly, that it was worth it. We're on track for a successful ERP implementation. It's not a pretty thing, which is why the county put it off for 30 years. But in the end, 18 to 24 months from now, we should have a significantly easier time forecasting. Our employees will be spending 20% less time doing manual things, et cetera, but it's going to hurt. It's like labor. You get a pretty baby at the end, but it hurts like a bitch in the meantime.
And I will note that part of our prep process involved looking at our current processes and changing them, improving them before we went and put it into a system. And we've done that. We've made positive changes already to a number of our processes because we're going through this. And those changes will get implemented into the system. And the system's going to force us to make additional changes because no system does everything the way you want it to. So you need to conform to what it does so that you'll have a successful outcome. So
and we're still within budget, so
yeah, and so I know it's longer, but I still think it's successful.
The time's it's fine, but don't be coming back in 6 months saying we need another $1 million. You know what I mean?
We're not asking for. We're just saying we're going to spend what we have.
Yeah, which is great. That's totally very supportive.
There's maybe a 10 or 20% chance that we would need a little more money. I'm hoping that's not the case. But I think we're there. And if we do need money, we'll tell you why and what was the cause, and you'll get to say yes or no.
Do appreciate those memos. They are very helpful and explain.
They are, and I read them, but I just like to engage here as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
All right. With that, any other questions on item 15?
No.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 15.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that passes. Item 17. Good to be the chair.
Sure.
Okay.
Who's vice chair, you or me?
Doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter to me either. Do you have a preference, Brandon?
I
I
don't.
mean, you've held the gavel for 2 years. Do you want a break? Do you like being second? I'm cool with whatever you guys want.
Yeah, that doesn't matter to me either. Do you? I mean, it's just if you're absent, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You good to do it?
Yeah, I'm good. And then we can all just play. Everyone pick up your name tag and move one seat to the right.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I'll make a motion to nominate Skylar Beltran as the commission chair and myself as the vice chair.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
At the end of this meeting, I think that's usually how they do it, so we can finish.
And I know we moved public comment up. I didn't see anybody else from the public.